He whispered her name in his sleep. Then came the words that shattered me. She was better than you. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even shake him awake. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling in the dark, feeling the weight of something I'd suspected for months finally crash into my chest. It wasn't just the words. It was the way he said them. Soft, tender, like he was reliving a moment with someone he missed more than he loved me. My name is Rachel. I'm 31, a working mother of one, married for 6 years to a man I thought I knew. His name is Darren. And until that night I believed we were just in a rough patch, exhausted from work, the baby and life. I thought maybe, just maybe, we'd fix things. But you can't fix something that someone else already replaced. The next morning he acted like nothing happened. He kissed me on the cheek, asked about the baby's teething, then left for work like a man with a clean conscience. He didn't know I was different now. He didn't know that I'd been broken so silently that the only way forward was a plan. Not revenge. Not yet. But something worse. I was going to let his fantasy become real, until it ruined him. Let me take you back 6 months. That's when it started. The distance. The coldness in his eyes. The late nights he blamed on client meetings. The whispers on the phone. The sudden changes in passwords. He thought I didn't notice. But I did. Darren had a pattern. He wasn't dumb, he was careful. He deleted messages. Kept his phone face down. He even started showering right after getting home, which he never used to do. One night he slipped and said her name when I asked who called. Maria, he said casually, brushing it off. She's just someone from work. Except there was no Maria in his office. I'd been to his work parties. I'd met his team. No Maria. So I waited. I didn't confront him. I didn't snoop through his phone yet. I played the role of the clueless wife. I kept the house clean, made dinner, laughed at his dry jokes. But inside I was watching, learning, planning. Until that night, when his subconscious gave me everything I needed. She was better than you, he whispered. That wasn't a slip. That was the truth. The next morning I called my best friend Ava. She'd always had a sixth sense about men. Are you sure? She asked after I told her everything. I heard it with my own ears, Ava. Her name. Her comparison. She was silent for a second. Then don't waste time crying. Start documenting. You want the truth? Build a case. You'll need it. She was right. I started keeping track, dates, receipts, behavior, even his clothing. Lipstick on a collar is old school, but Darren wasn't as slick as he thought. Once I found a hotel keycard in his coat pocket labeled, the Larkspur Room. We'd never stayed there. I looked it up. Boutique hotel. Downtown. Expensive. And right next to his office. I booked a lunch meeting with one of his coworkers under a fake business name, just to see if anyone would talk. They did. One glass of wine and a little charm later, I found out Darren had been working late, with someone almost every other Friday for months. One Friday I followed him. I told him I had a migraine and would be resting at home with the baby. But instead I called Ava to babysit and parked across the street from the Larkspur. And I saw him. He wasn't even trying to hide it. He walked in with her, Maria. Young, polished, tall. Maybe 26. And clearly enjoying every second of being the other woman. He didn't look nervous. He looked happy. That night I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at the ceiling next to him while he slept peacefully. That's when he whispered it. And that's when I knew. I was done being the faithful wife he walked all over. I had two choices. Leave him or ruin him. I chose the second. Not because I'm cruel, but because he needed to feel what it's like to be betrayed. Not just by a spouse, but by the very person he underestimated. I started small. I changed the password on our joint savings account. I filed quiet legal consultations with a lawyer Ava recommended. A woman. Sharp as a knife. I pretended like everything was fine. Darren, thinking I was clueless, started being even more obvious. He'd come home humming. Leave his shirt unbuttoned. Smile at his phone. And I let him. Because the more arrogant he got, the faster he walked into the trap I was building. The turning point came one Sunday morning. He was in the shower. His phone lit up on the counter with a message. Maria. Can't wait until you're mine full time. That was the moment I smiled. I wrote back. Maybe you should come over. Let's see what it's like under the same roof. She replied in seconds. Are you serious? I texted back. Serious as a ring. When Darren came out, I handed him his phone and acted like nothing happened. She came to our house 3 days later, thinking she was being welcomed. She had no idea. That day, when she showed up, suitcase in hand, all smiles and perfume, was the day my real revenge began. She didn't know I'd invited her. He didn't know I was watching both of them, and neither of them knew they were already standing in a trap so beautifully laid. They'd thank me before it destroyed them. Maria moved into our home like it was a fairy tale. She wheeled in her lavender suitcase, humming some Taylor Swift song under her breath. Darren was behind her, carrying a box of what looked like her makeup and skincare. He looked excited, relaxed, like this was the start of some dream life he thought he deserved. I stood in the living room with a smile plastered on my face, holding our toddler in one arm. Inside, my heart was steel. Every second I spent watching them play house in my home only sharpened my focus. Rachel, thanks for being so cool about this, Maria said with a giggle. I wasn't sure how this would go, but it's so modern of you. Modern. That was the word she used for stealing another woman's husband. I nodded, playing the part. Anything for Darren. We're adults. She laughed again. I think she actually believed I liked her. And Darren? He looked like he was floating. What they didn't know was that every room Maria walked into had already been bugged with audio recorders. Every whisper, every complaint, every slip of the tongue was now mine. Maria didn't know how loud she talked on the phone, especially when she bragged to her friends. I swear, I think she actually likes me. This is going to be so easy, Jessie. She practically handed me her life. The house, the man, the kid. And she does the cleaning too. It's like living with a maid who doesn't mind being ignored. Click. Save. Documented. She spent the first week redecorating. Pink throw pillows, cheap candles, and floral wallpaper samples everywhere. Darren let her. He never once asked what I thought. I played along. Even helped her measure the guest room she was turning into her meditation space. They still hadn't noticed the nursery door stayed locked. That was the only room in the house I wouldn't let her enter. She tried once, and I gently told her the baby had trouble sleeping when anything changed. She pouted, but Darren backed me up. Maybe some tiny part of him remembered I was still the mother of his child. 2 weeks into their fantasy life, I started phase 2. I began recording videos. Subtle ones. Maria walking out of the master bedroom in my robe. Darren slipping his wedding ring off the moment he left the house. Him saying, "You know Rach will be fine, she's always been strong." Like I was some old pair of shoes he left behind. They thought they were building a future. I was building a case. I met with my lawyer in secret. Her name was Vanessa. She wore black suits and red lipstick, and she never smiled unless it was time to deliver bad news to the other party. He moved his mistress into your home with your child present? She asked, tapping her pen. Unmarried. Not vetted. No legal protections. She looked up. Perfect. Keep recording. Every detail helps. I did. And the more I recorded, the more reckless they became. Darren started coming home late again. Even with Maria in the house. She started complaining. Loudly. He says he left her for me, but he's never here. I didn't move in to play house with her. Another recording saved. Then came the day Maria asked me if I could start taking care of the baby full-time, so she and Darren could go on a healing retreat. I said yes, because while they were gone I was about to burn everything down. While they meditated in some mountain spa, I met with Darren's boss. His real boss, not the one he lied about to impress Maria. Mr. Lane was a sharp, no-nonsense man who didn't tolerate workplace drama. I just thought you should know, I said, sliding over a folder. Darren's been using company time and resources to manage his affair. There are receipts. Hotel stays during conference hours. Personal calls during client meetings. Mr. Lane opened the folder, brows rising. You didn't get this from me, I added. He nodded once. Understood. That same day, I pulled every financial record Darren had left carelessly accessible. Our joint credit. The house deed. The baby's savings account. I moved what I legally could into protected assets under my name and my child's trust. When they came home, tanned and happy, Maria didn't notice the slight chill in the air. Darren did. A little. But he brushed it off. The next evening, Maria left her unlocked phone on the counter. It lit up with a text from a guy named Brandon. Still thinking about last weekend? You're a wild one. So she was playing Darren too. I took a screenshot. Emailed it to myself. Then, when she was asleep, I forwarded it to Darren from an anonymous account. He found it the next day. The shouting match that followed shook the walls. You said you were done with him. And you said you weren't sleeping with your wife, Darren. I'm not. Then why does she still live here? Why is her name still on everything? He couldn't answer. Because he was losing control. That week I served him with the divorce papers. I didn't hand them over in anger. I left them in his briefcase, tucked neatly between his meeting notes. He found them during a staff meeting. He came home pale. Maria was sitting on the couch with a wine glass, scrolling her phone. Did you do this now to embarrass me? I looked at him and said calmly, I did this now because I wanted you to feel what it's like to be blindsided. He stared at me speechless. Maria chuckled. Well, looks like you finally got your drama. I turned to her. Oh, we're not done yet. She looked confused. Until she got served the next day. By her employer. See, she worked at a nonprofit that championed women's rights and safe families. I sent them a packet anonymously. Photos of her living in the home of a married man with a baby present. Audio of her mocking me, calling me the maid. Bragging about replacing a mother. She was let go within 48 hours. Darren lost his promotion. Mr. Lane found out about the misuse of company resources. Maria lost her job. And their happy home? Now filled with lawyers, resentment, and cold silence. That weekend, I took the baby and left for my sister's place. Just for the night. I told Darren I needed space. He begged me not to leave. For the baby, he said. I looked him in the eye. This baby will be fine. It's the adults who need to grow up. When I returned, Maria was gone. So was half of Darren's wardrobe. He sat on the couch like a ghost, staring at the floor. She left, he said. I didn't respond. I just picked up my child, sat down, and turned on the TV. He waited for me to say something. But silence was louder than anything. Because I wasn't finished yet. I stood in the doorway of the guest room, watching as Sasha unpacked her suitcase. It was surreal, inviting the woman my husband cheated with into our home. But it wasn't out of kindness. This was chess, not checkers. Sasha thought she was here to win him. I brought her here to destroy them both. She looked around, clearly impressed. You weren't kidding. This place is beautiful. I smiled politely. It's a home built on loyalty. Or at least that's what I thought. Her laugh was too loud for the space, her confidence a little too fake. I guess we'll both find out what it's really built on, she said with a wink. I watched her closely. She was already digging her own grave. Ethan came home late again that night. He paused in the entryway when he saw her sitting on our couch, his mistress in sweatpants drinking wine from my glass. You let her stay? He asked, voice low. I nodded. She deserves to feel safe. He blinked. Safe? She said you lied to her. Told her we were separated. That I was crazy. Sasha chimed in loud and proud. Yeah, Ethan. That's what you said, remember? Or are there more women who don't know you're married? He looked trapped. And for the first time since this all started, he didn't try to manipulate his way out. He just walked past both of us and went to the bedroom. The crack had begun. The next morning, Sasha followed me into the kitchen like we were roommates. You know he's still sleeping with me, she said casually. I didn't flinch. Of course. You both deserve each other. She frowned. That wasn't the reaction she expected. Then she smirked. You're planning something. I said nothing. Let her feel it in her bones. I handed her the grocery list and smiled sweetly. You said you like to help. We need milk and eggs. She stared at me. I'm not your maid, she hissed. No, I said softly. You're just the woman who gave up everything for someone else's husband. I waited a few more days. Then I left a single envelope on the kitchen counter. It was addressed to Ethan. Inside, copies of every message he'd sent Sasha, dates of hotel bookings, photos of them together, everything. I'd even printed the flight confirmations for the trip he took with her last Christmas. It was all filed for the divorce attorney, but I wanted him to see it first. He stormed into the living room, red-faced, waving the folder. "What is this?" he barked. "Proof," I replied calmly, "of your lies, of your betrayal, of what a fool you really are." Sasha stepped in behind him, suddenly pale. "You're divorcing him?" I looked her straight in the eye. "Oh, I've already filed. I'm just waiting for the court date." She turned on Ethan instantly. "You said you'd leave her." He snarled. "You were just supposed to be fun. A distraction. I was never leaving her." And just like that, the final crack became a full collapse. A week later, I attended a charity gala alone. One Ethan and I used to host together. I wore the same emerald green dress he once said made me look unforgettable. He arrived 30 minutes later with Sasha on his arm. I watched as people whispered. Eyes followed them across the room, not with admiration but judgment. His coworkers avoided him. His boss shook my hand longer than his. I leaned in and whispered to his boss, "Ethan's replacement will be more punctual and faithful." He raised an eyebrow. "You're opening your own firm?" I smiled. "Already filed the papers." Later that evening, Sasha tried to talk to me in the bathroom. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, sounding tired. "Doing what?" I replied, reapplying my lipstick. "This. Acting like you're fine." I looked at her reflection beside mine. "Because I am fine. You're the one stuck with a liar." She swallowed hard. "He said he loves me." I turned to her. "He said that to me too. The night before he met you." It didn't take long. Within 2 months, Sasha had moved out. She realized Ethan's charm didn't translate to real life. He was lazy, moody, and manipulative. She tried calling me once. I didn't answer. The divorce finalized smoothly. I had gathered more than enough proof of infidelity to walk away with the house, the accounts, and the business shares. Ethan tried to fight it, but even his own lawyer looked disgusted. I saw him in court, hollow bitter, trying to play victim. I simply walked in, gave my final signature, and left with a smile. A few weeks later, I hosted a small dinner at my home. Only close friends. People who stood by me. People who mattered. One of them asked, "Do you miss him?" I thought for a second, then said, "I miss who I thought he was." They nodded. I looked around the table, at love, at support, at peace, and realized this was the life I was meant to have. Not one of lies and whispered betrayals, but one of truth, power, and freedom. If you've ever been hurt by someone you trusted, someone who thought you'd stay broken, you're not alone. But here's the truth. You are stronger than they ever expected. And when you finally choose yourself, your peace, your power, they'll never see it coming. If this story moved you, hit the like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe for more true revenge stories every week.